What's going on, guys? Cliff and Denny with On Your Own Outdoors. Hey guys, it's Monday, so you know what day that is. It's Broadhead Day. So today we're going to do the Muzzy 3-blade 100 grain. So I haven't shot a Muzzy in probably 10 years. I know there's guys that's been shooting them for 20 years plus. I mean, whenever you talk about bow hunting in the early stages, it's hard to even talk about bow hunting without talking about Muzzy. So anyways, I get a bunch of guys that want me to do a review on a Muzzy. So we're going to go ahead and knock that out today. The first thing that I'm going to hit before we even start that's negative, that I'm not a huge fan of, is the having to put them together. The only reason is that leaves opportunity for failure, right? So all of us, we're walking, we got our bows in the back seat of our truck, everything's moving around, it shakes. You're going to get some of that shake loose. So if you end up going and buying these, remember, every time you get ready to knock one on, just touch those tips, make sure everything's still snug. So here we go. Alright guys, so accuracy test, 50 yards. To my surprise, it was only shooting, I don't know, about 4 inches low. So I was shooting for the J, and I hit about 4 inches low. You can see here, I actually shot it twice with the same result both times. So left and right seems to be pretty good. Up and down though, it's pulling low. So anyways, there's that. Alright guys, so this is your first video that you've watched of ours, just so y'all can kind of catch up with what the deal is with the watermelon. So what I do is I take a watermelon, I cut it in half, I embed a 3-inch block of ice inside of it. The reason for that is on the mechanical broadheads, the outside of the watermelon goes in, gives it a little bit of retention to open up. We get to see the wound channel as it goes in, hits the block of ice, goes through, and then you can track the wound channel out the backside. And we can measure the entry hole, the exit hole, and then a penetration that it gets once it goes through the block of ice into the target. So that's just a little food for thought. So we're gonna go ahead and start now with the penetration. All right, so we're looking at right at 15.5 inches of arrow sticking out the back, which is actually one of the poorer performers that we've had. So let me go ahead and see if I can get this broadhead out. Kind of worried about that. The target gains another broadhead. These fixed blades don't like to back out once you shoot them. All right. So what I'm going to do now is measuring. Measuring the cut. So we're right at 1.25 inches. So it's actually a little bit better than what the package suggests, I believe. We'll check it out in a minute. So that's the entry hole. Check the exit hole. The exit hole is about the same, right at that 1.25 inch mark. So let's cut this thing open and see what our wound channel looks like. Bust the block of ice. It's cold outside. So there is your wound channel. I will say the plus side about this is it did hold its consistency all the way through, from start through the front end, and then it continued on through here, through the back end. One thing I don't see is any rotation with this broadhead, and a lot of them you get that kind of rotation as it goes through. I don't see that as much with this broadhead. So yeah, that's the Muzzy 3-blade. So let's talk about it. Accuracy test at 50 yards. To my surprise, it was a lot more accurate than the ones that I shot, 10 years ago. The only thing that I will say is that I shot 2 broadheads because, as you've seen, it ate the broadhead, right? So I shot 2 broadheads at 50 yards a while ago to make sure that I was on, and they're inconsistent. So the one thing that was considerably the same was the low, right? So it was about 4 inches low at 50 yards. But the other thing about them is one flew to the left. And so anyways, the way that I do that is I shot 1 broadhead, I shot 2 field tips, and I shot another broadhead just to make sure that I was being consistent as possible. So 2 different broadheads, 2 different results. So what that leads me to do, leads me to believe there's a little inaccuracy in the broadhead in the package. So that's the number 1 negative. But it's kind of a positive because they flew a whole lot better than I thought they were going to. The next thing we're going to talk about is penetration. It had less penetration than its competitors do. I'm not real sure what that is because maybe it's the little bit thicker tip that's on the front of it, that bone crushing tip. But it most certainly is one of our poorer performers when it comes to penetration. Consistency in the wound channel. Got to give it 100% on that. It went in 1.25 inches. It came out the back 1.25 inches. And it carried that all the way through. So that's a plus. I'm going to go ahead and cut this broadhead out. All right, guys. So the Muzzy 3-blade. Let's talk about it. So accuracy test at 50 yards. 2 things about it. I ended up having to shoot 2 different broadheads because the target likes to eat these these fixed blades. So start off, both of them flew a little bit different. The first one flew about 4 inches low, which is the one that y'all got to see on here. The second one actually flew to the left about 3 inches and probably 2 inches low. So there's that. I think there's a little bit of inconsistency with the actual, maybe with the broadheads themselves coming out the package. What I do is I shoot 1, send 2 field tips after it, shoot another one just to make sure I'm as consistent as can be. And so anyways, yeah, 2 different broadheads out of the same pack flew a little bit different. Next thing we're going to talk about is the penetration test. One of our poorer performers, yeah, it was over 15 inches. I don't remember the exact thing it was, but for such a small cut in diameter, I thought it would do a lot better. I would assume it's because of the big tip, maybe. Going through that block of ice, it's got more retention because of the big tip. Plus side about it, consistency in the wound channel. So in the wound channel, it went in 1.25 inches, it stayed 1.25 inches all the way through, and it came out 1.25 inches, and it went into the bag 1.25 inches. So wound channel consistency is there. Durability, the blades are still extremely sharp. There's no divots, no nothing on the durability. So durability is a plus. It's super solid. It seems pretty tough. It seemed tough coming out of the package. I'll say again, one thing that I'm not a huge fan of is I don't like to have to put a broadhead together. And this one you do. So if you end up going out and buying these Muzzies, just remember every time you get ready to knock an arrow, grab it up top and just make sure that it's tight, so you don't have anything loose, rattling, trying to back off on you. Cheaper broadhead. I don't remember exactly how much they were. We'll post it here on the screen, but a cheaper broadhead, you can pick them up at Walmart or just about anywhere else. Muzzy's been around forever. It is what it is. I know for a fact with the slower bow, these things fly fantastic. So, but with the slower bow, you know, the one that I've shot with, you know, they're not shooting over about 40 yards. So that could be it too. These faster bows, they don't seem as accurate. So just remember that whenever you're going and picking a broadhead. Like I always say, confidence is accuracy. So hey guys, if this is what you shoot and this is what you prefer to shoot, and you've got your bow tuned to this broadhead, by all means, go out, harvest the deer you're after, you know. But just remember, you know, you need to pull these out of the package. Just like I say it with every broadhead, pull one out of the package and send it in a target in your yard, just to make sure that you're dialed in. So yeah, you're gonna see this video next week, but I am fixing to head to work and then pack up and head to Missouri for, I don't know, 4 or 5 days, see if I can find something worth chasing. So anyways guys, I appreciate you coming along for the ride this week. We've got a big surprise video coming up on Wednesday. We'll see you guys then. Good hunting.